Hi, I'm Kendall Lawrence, and today I'll be going over which company to invest in between Bank of America versus Wells Fargo's. What? Oh. So who are these companies? In the top five banking companies, Bank of America is rated number two, while Wells Fargo is rated number four. Let's get into these companies. Bank of America was founded in 1998 with the merger of Nations Bank and Bank of America, but has history dating all the way back to the 1700s. Their headquarters is located in Charlotte, North Carolina. With this company being huge, it doesn't come as a surprise when I state that it has over 213,000 employees. Now, a little bit of history with them. During 2007 through 2012, there was a subprime mortgage crisis with the accusation of Countrywide and Merrill Lynch. With these two companies, with Countrywide in general, there was fraud on home loans and mortgages, which resulted in a $335 million lawsuit payment that they had to pay. With Merrill Lynch. They had a loss of 21.4 billion. So in total, they had to pay in 21.5 billion, which then resulted into the 2008 crisis, and they were a huge role into that. There's been other things that have happened, such as the double dipping scheme, discrimination, as well as appearing in the Epstein files. With Wells Fargo, they were founded in 1929, but then later refounded in 1998, with renamed into the name that we know now as Wells Fargo. This company consists of 8,050 branches, 13,000 automated teller machines, 2,000 standalone mortgages, and over 217,000 employees. Now, the history with them has been a pretty fair startup with a robbery, with also a robbery that happened in 1983, stealing around $7.1 million at an army deposit that they had. Moving into more current times, their big scandal was opening up bank accounts in a customer's name that they didn't agree to, which resulted into unwanted charges. This was due to employees being pressured to meet a quota, and so they had to pay $3.1 billion in 2020 because they had came out in 2020 about this event when it had again went on from 2002 to 2016. They had also had the auto insurance scandal where in 2017 they had convinced customers that they needed car insurance when they really didn't. And those car insurance companies never verified the insurance anyways. Also, like Bank of America, they also had discrimination issues. In the marketplace, we can look at their stocks. As we see on the top section, this is looking over their whole history as much as we can with today's technology, because as I said, these companies were founded in the 1700s and technology was not in its best prime time yet just then. So on the left side, we have Bank of America, and as we can see, it is a rather steady incline with a sharp decline down around between 2006 and 2006 and 2011, which is mainly due to their 2002, whatever it was. And then they have been on a steady increase since then. And on the right side, we have Wells Fargo, and they have a larger path to go on as they've been founded earlier and has a pretty good steady increase in general. On the bottom section, we have a more recent look at their stocks, usually just like a month. And we can see on the bottom left that it's Bank of America, where they've had a pretty good and then a sharp decline, most likely due to recent events of them being mentioned in the Epstein files. And on the right side, it is Wells Fargo, and they appear to be in negative as it's kind of just been a steady decline, but they have been coming back up recently. In the beginning, I had listed out where these two companies, Bank of America and Wells Fargo, had stood in the top five banking companies. Their other competitors would consist of the first place would be JP Morgan, the third place would be Citigroup, and the fifth place would be Goldman Sachs. But there are ways that Bank of America and Wells Fargo separate themselves from these other competitors. Bank of America separates themselves through their responsible growth as they focus more on their clients, trying to build a relationship with them and get their money to grow. While Wells Fargo is more focused on rebuilding that trust with their clients and customers after their fake account scandal. As to this day, I still view Wells Fargo as terrible because of that scandal and how negatively it impacted them. Looking back at the stocks, we can look at their long-term stability as this is one of the more important factors when looking into a bank industry because you want your money to be safe, you want it to be secure, you want it to last a while. Both of these companies, like looking over the top section, both of these companies has had a steady incline as well as some sharp declines as well as that we see with Bank of America on the left as they had that sharp decline around 2008, 2010, while versus Wells Fargo, they have been on a constant rise with a not as sharp decline, but have been setting over the past couple of years. Even looking at their stock prices in general, we can see that you could buy a stock price for $53 for Bank of America versus Wells Fargo was $85. I have talked about a few of their scandals that they have faced already, but I'm going to get into more of their situation. As we can see on the screen, I had just printed out a whole bunch of different newspaper clips that talks about these companies, some of their bigger scandals. Like I mentioned, Bank of America with the Epstein files. With the release of the Epstein files currently, that has been their biggest publicity as Jeffrey Epstein had tied his money in with Bank of America for his sex trafficking ventures. So people are saying that Bank of America should be held liable as well because they willingly signed with a criminal, and that is some of their publicity they have had, as well as there have been other publicity such as discrimination, layoffs, or even not hiring overall. Wells Fargo has had more positives than Bank of America, I would say, as there's been times where they have advocated for a sustainable planet with tackling droughts and flooding through their own water usage to try and either help their water usage, decrease their water usage, but also with that, as we can see, climate protesters have also come out and said bad things about Wells Fargo, as with one of the new laws that President Trump has passed. It has been an increase of burning fossil fuels, which is inherently not really great for the planet in general, and Wells Fargo has carried on with that, so they're being called out. Other things that have also happened with them as there's been huge layoffs in Texas and Oregon. With all this information I just presented to you today, I would recommend Bank of America to invest in. With their concentration on personal clients and their stock prices, it'd be a great time to invest in. Thank you.